Hi guys, today I want to talk about something that comes up a lot, both inside my academy and inside our free group, Train Your Service Dog with Confidence. Now, this topic is something that I feel very strongly about, and that is whether or not your puppy is behind in his training, and whether or not he's on track, and the amount of people who tend to rush their puppies because we're trying to make sure that they're on track to becoming a service dog. We all know that it takes 2 years to train a service dog, and so I think people start to fall behind. They feel like their dog or their puppy hasn't learned enough yet. He's not as far along as he should be. We see other people whose puppies seem to be doing better than ours, and we get really, really worried about it. And so that's what I want to talk to you today about, how far behind Leo is in his training. Now, Leo's 5 months old, so he came to me at 8 weeks a couple of months ago, and so a lot of you will remember him as a tiny little puppy, and he's grown so much. You know, you're 5 months old. And generally, as a professional trainer, when I have a puppy who's 5 months old, not only does he already know his basics, sit, down, stay, you know, he's learned a couple of foundation skills. Like they would typically know how to stand on a platform and touch a target. Their heeling would be coming along. We'd be starting public access at 5 months old because they're house trained. Leo doesn't know any of that. Okay, he's house trained, yes. He has beautiful house manners, he has beautiful social skills, he knows how to sit, so there is that one. He sits, he has excellent focus, he has some of those foundation skills, but you guys, we have not done nearly the amount of training that I would have liked up to this point. Generally, I train my puppies a lot, and Leo and I have had such a hectic summer. We've had a lot going on in my personal life. We just haven't trained as much as we should have. And here's the thing, I am not worried. I'm not even a little. I am not at all worried that my 5-month-old puppy doesn't know how to lay down, that he doesn't know how to leave it, that his heeling training is far behind. It doesn't freak me out that we've done some socialization trips, but we haven't done any real public access. He's never set foot in a store that is not pet friendly. And I'm not worried about any of that, okay? We tend to put very high expectations on our puppies, and they grow quickly and they tend to look adult very quickly. But the reason that everybody tells you it takes 2 years to train a service dog isn't just because of the list of behaviors they have to learn. It's not because we have so many things to teach them. It's because if you're starting with a puppy, your puppy has to grow up, and growing up takes 2 years to do. So let's just put this in perspective really quick. So when Leo was 8 weeks old, and I gotta move something on my screen here or I won't be able to see what I'm doing. There we go. When Leo was 8 weeks old, this is him, his little 8-week-old puppy, and he's so cute. I'll scoot over to the side a little. When he was 8 weeks old, he was the equivalent about a 2-year-old human. So a really little kid, right? And when I work with people who have puppies, one of the things I constantly hear is, you know, why does he play bite so much? Why is potty training so hard? Why are all of these things so hard? Because at 8 weeks old, your puppy is a baby. Okay, here's me. This is me at 2 years old. Do you think that this 2-year-old child is ready to learn algebra? Or how to read? Or how to, do anything she's going to learn in school? This 2-year-old child is trying to open up her Christmas presents at 2 years old, right? This 2-year-old child needs to learn to be potty trained. This 2-year-old child has got a long way to go before she can learn how to be a dog trainer. Or which is what I grew up to be, right? Or before she can grow up to learn how to be a surgeon, or an EMT, or paramedic. She has got a long way to go, and she has got a lot to learn. And at 2, I have a very clear memory of sticking a bobby pin into an outlet, okay? I ended up with a nice bobby pin shaped burn mark in my hand. Like, this 2-year-old needs to learn not to do that kind of thing. This is the equivalent of Leo at 2 years old, at 8 weeks old, up here, learning not to chew on my shoes and learning to go to the bathroom outside, right? There's a lot to learn when you're only a 2-year-old baby. So then we have kind of where Leo is now, which he's 5 months old. So let's put where he is in 5 months. Sounds like he's growing up. Oh, he's 5 months old. He should know all these things. He's growing up, right? Here's Leo, or no, we're skipping to 3 months. So 8 weeks was 2 months. This is Leo at 3 months here. I got a little ahead of myself. 3 months, this was on July 4th when he was 3 months old. where he was the equivalent of about a 4 to 5 year old child, right? 4 to 5 years old is very young. So yes, house training is generally going pretty well at 4 to 5 years old. But here is me, again, at 4 years old with my little sister who had just been born. Oh, I don't know how old my sister was in this picture, but I know I was 4. And again, this girl is not ready for advanced things. This 4-year-old child needs to learn how to share her toys. She needs to start learning the alphabet. She needs to learn how to, brush her own hair. I mean, this 4-year-old child has got a lot to learn before she can jump into this more advanced stuff, right? Here's me at 5 years old. Now, at 5 years old, we're entering kindergarten. We're getting some of those basics down. I'm still struggling to share my toys, especially with my younger sister at this age. This 5-year-old child, she's got a lot to learn, okay? So then we can jump to where Leo is now, which is 5 months old, which feels relatively old. Like, he looks like he's growing up. He's starting to look like an adult. We have moments of adult-like behavior. He has a lot of good manners. This is him now. He's about the equivalent of a 5 to 10-year-old child. And I have quite an age range on there because 5 to 10, this conversion, where we take a dog age and we convert it to a human age, it's not an exact science, and it depends on the resource you look at, and it depends on the breed of dog that you have. Leo, at 5 months old, somewhere between 5 to 10 years old, okay? Again, here's me as a 5-year-old, so we can start there. If he's 5 years old, he's only about this old. If he's 6 years old, he's in first grade. So now we're starting to learn some real things, right? So I remember in first grade, I remember some of my homework assignments. I remember some of the things I was learning. Here's me as a 9-year-old. Okay, now I'm really kind of in school and I'm starting to learn some more of those more advanced skills, but I use advanced in a very loose manner, right? She's still not ready to go to med school. She's still not ready to be a certified dog trainer. This 9-year-old can't even drive a car, right? She has still got a lot to learn. So this is where Leo is. So it's easy for me to look at Leo and go, man, you're 5 months old. You should know all these things by now. Why don't you know all of these advanced things? Because he's only the equivalent of about a 9-year-old child. And you guys, there was a lot I didn't know when I was 9 years old. And more importantly, there was a lot I wasn't ready to know as a 9-year-old child. At 9 years old, I wasn't ready to learn to drive a car. I wasn't ready to go to college and learn philosophy. I wasn't ready to learn advanced geometry yet. I was ready to learn math, like history, basic things, right? This is where Leo is now, and this is why I'm not worried. Because he's learning appropriate 9-year-old skills, social skills, how to live in this world, how to be confident and happy and social. He's learning those things. So if the rest of it takes a back seat, I'm okay with that. Now, the next jump we get to is when Leo's 12 months old, so when he's a whole year old, he'll still only be the equivalent of a 12 to 16-year-old child. So even at 12 months, when a lot of us start to say, you're 12 months old, you're a whole year old, you should be acting like an adult now, he's still only going to be the equivalent of a 12 to 16-year-old human. And I mean, I don't know about you, but here's me at about 12. I wasn't an adult at 12 years old. No. Here's me at 13. This is my sister. She's going to kill me for posting this picture. But in the back there in the blue shirt, that's me at 13. Definitely not an adult, right? And then as I got towards 16, I would have liked to believe I was an adult. But even at 16, I was not an adult, mentally, physically, in any way. There was a lot of stuff I still had to learn at 16. And there was still a lot of stuff I wasn't ready to learn at 16. And just to put this in perspective, because we're looking at service dogs who grow up to do a very specific career, by 16 years old, I was already teaching dog training classes. I was driving myself to a facility and I was teaching basic obedience and I was teaching agility classes at the age of 16. So yes, at 16 years old, right, in doggy years, so when Leo is a year old, there are definitely some things I will want him to know and to be able to do by 16, or by 12 months. But to look at a 1-year-old dog and consider him an adult is a mistake. It's a really big mistake. So now that we put it in kind of perspective a little bit here, we're like, now we understand, okay, at 5 months old, Leo is still a baby, right? He's not an adult, he's a baby. Then the next question that naturally comes up is, yeah, but don't we want to give him a head start, right? If I start training tasks, and I start training public access, and I start training all of that stuff when he's 8 weeks old, when he's 12 weeks old, when he's only 5 months old, won't that give him a leg up, right? Because if he starts young, wouldn't he be better as an adult than if he started later? And it's a natural thing to kind of assume. So what I want to talk about quick is a study, and I will post this study in the description of this video or in the comments when we're done here because I didn't think to put it in there ahead of time. They did a study on show jumping horses. Okay, they took 40, I believe the number is 40, 6-month-old horses destined to be show jumpers, which is what you see in the Olympics, like 6-foot-tall jumps, and it's really intense. And they divided them into 2 groups, okay? Group 1, and hold on, I have little graphics here so I remember. Okay, at 6 months old, they divided them into 2 groups. And they found no significant difference in the jumping abilities of the 2 groups. So at 6 months old, neither group had more talent, neither group was better. There was no significant difference between the 2 groups. So then they divided them into 2 groups. Group 1 would have 30 minutes of formal jump training 3 days a week. Group 2 would have no jump training at all. Now, this doesn't mean they weren't learning other things, like how to get in a trailer, how to stand politely for being tacked up, stuff like that, but they had no jump training. They then tested these horses again at 4 years old. So horses mature very slowly. 4 years old is not that old for a horse, right? So they tested these horses again at 4 years. Now, naturally, Group 1 did significantly better because Group 1 had training, right? They'd been training since the time they were 6 months old. So, of course, at 4 years old, Group 1 did significantly better. And then they put both groups into formal jumping training. So 4 years old is when most trainers start formal jumping training. They put both groups of horses into the same jumping program at 4 years old. And they tested them again a year later. So at 5 years old, they tested both groups again to see if there was a difference. So really quick, at 6 months old, no significant difference between the groups. Group 1 got 30 minutes of formal jumping training from the age of 6 months to 4 years. Group 2 had no jumping training. So at 4 years old, Group 1 did better. Then both groups entered formal jumping training. They went into a formal program. They were tested again at 5 years old. So 1 year later, after both groups had gone through this very formal training. What was expected was for Group 1 to do better because they'd been jumping since they were 6 months old, whereas Group 2 had only been jumping since they were 4 years old. They only had 1 year of experience. And you know what they found? No significant difference. They found at the age of 5 years old, after 1 year of intensive training, they found no difference between the 2 groups, even though Group 1 was started 3 years earlier. And I feel very confident that if we ran the same study using service dogs and we compared tasks and we compared public access, that we would also find no significant difference. Now, this is just a hypothesis. I don't have any research to back it up. This is my opinion. This is what I think we would find. Now, this, of course, hinges on the fact that our service dogs aren't learning bad habits their first year and a half of life, and that's what we're going to talk about next. So this study is it was a very well-run study with the jumping horses, and it was not what anybody would expect. I would expect that if I started a horse younger, he would end up doing better. But that's not what they found. So what we can do with our service dogs, if we take that research and we apply it to our dogs, that means that if I start training a dog from scratch at 18 months versus 8 weeks, at the age of 2 years old, I will probably find no significant difference in their performance. But with starting the younger dog too young, what I do risk is burning out that young puppy. And that is one of the most common things I see when people come to me in person with an adolescent service dog in training. They come to me with a service dog in training between the ages of 12 and 18 months, and what I'm looking at is a dog who was pushed too fast, too soon, and is burning out. Okay, this 9-year-old girl, I didn't want to be a doctor, but maybe this 9-year-old girl she's dying to be a doctor when she grows up. There are things she can start to do now to learn to be a doctor. She cannot start learning about open heart surgery. That takes an older, more mature brain. It takes an older, more mature body. You will burn this girl out if you show her too many scary things at the age of 9 years old. And the same thing can happen with our service dogs. Now, all of this hinges on the fact that between, being born and turning 1.5 years old, that our dogs aren't developing massive bad habits. So Leo is behind in his formal training, as far as anybody I would talk to would say. You puppy doesn't even know how to lay down yet. He doesn't know how to heel yet. I am not worried about that, because Leo is developing excellent social skills with both people and other dogs. He is developing excellent house manners. He's a joy to live with. He's easy to live with. He is learning and building a relationship with me. He's learning to focus on me. When we go for freedom walks throughout the day, when we go for walks around the neighborhood, when we go for hikes, we stop and we play games. He learns to focus on me. So what I would prefer to see is more people paying attention to preventing bad habits, to creating a dog who is confident and social and focused, and less worried about teaching their 5-month-old puppy to do all the tasks, and making sure that their 5-month-old puppy can do elevators and escalators and go to the mall and all of that stuff. At 5 months old, at 5 months old, let me find my graphics again, that was the equivalent about this child. This child is not ready for graduate school, and that is what public access and task training is. When we're taking our service dogs around with us everywhere we go, that's like going to graduate school. This 5-year-old, she can barely sit still through half a day of kindergarten. Okay? She is not ready to go to graduate school. And the same thing applies with our service dogs. I hear a lot of people say this: I know slow is fast, but. And then they say, but my dog is a year old, but my dog is 5 months old and he still doesn't alert, but my dog is 8 months old and we're still struggling with. If you are saying, I know slow is fast, but, you probably don't understand what slow is fast means. Unless your question is, I'm just wondering if this is normal. I know slow is fast, so I'm wondering if this is normal, is a very different question than what I see all the time. I know slow is fast, but my 4-month-old puppy won't leave it. Okay, those are two very different statements. Now, one of the things that you guys will have seen floating around before, and I've probably even posted, is this. We would all like to believe that service dog training is the straight line, right? That success is just a straight line up. That when we're training our service dogs, things just get better and they just get easier. And that is not how this works. Okay, this is like that squiggly line. We're going to have success and we're also going to have struggles. This is a 2-year thing you signed up for when you decided to train your own service dog. So when you signed up to train your own service dog, you signed up for 2 years of training. You signed up for regular training sessions every week. You signed up for a slow introduction to public access. A lot of people choose to train their own service dogs because they think it's faster. And sometimes it is. If a program's wait list is 5 years, then training your own service dog might be faster. But a lot of people look at a 2-year wait list and they think training their own service dog will be faster. And this is the hard pill you've got to swallow. Your service dog is not a service dog until he's 2. He's a service dog in training, which means until he's an adult, until he's 2 years old and you're capable of passing a public access test, he is not a service dog and he cannot go everywhere with you Because if you try to take your service dog in training everywhere with you before he's ready, you can either hurt your training or you're going to burn your dog out. And those are the two things I see the most often. So when we're talking about success, we're not looking at a straight line forward. You're going to have challenges. You're going to have struggles, and all of that is normal. And the slower you go, the faster you'll get there. With Leo, I am not worried about the fact that he's 5 months old and he's behind on his behaviors, because we've got another 18 months. We've got a lot of time to teach those things. What I want to see now is the things that he is doing, which are social skills. He's got beautiful social skills with other dogs. He has beautiful social skills with other people. He likes to greet other people, but he'd rather hang out with me. You know, those are the kinds of things that I want to work on now. So, if you guys have any questions, I'm here for questions for a few minutes. If you guys have any questions about this, I was seeing your comments a minute ago. I took the screen away. There it is. Okay. So if anybody has a question about this, you can go ahead and throw it in. But really, my point today is that don't rush your puppy. Okay, just like we don't rush a 5-year-old or a 10-year-old into graduate school, we do not want to rush our puppies into graduate school. This is, if I had to choose one mistake that I see owner trainers make, this is going to be it. It's going to be either rushing it or not rushing it and then feeling badly about it. So one of the things that I see is the people who aren't rushing it, who are taking it at a nice, slow pace, they feel guilty. They feel behind because they see other videos, they see other pictures, and they feel behind. Don't feel behind. You've got a long ways to go. But also don't rush your puppy, okay? All right, well, I am not seeing any questions, so I am going to log off for today. If you have questions about this, you guys can always join our Facebook group, Train Your Service Dog with Confidence. We've got some very exciting things happening in there in the next week or so you're going to want to stay tuned for that. There's going to be a bunch of one cool thing, but it's a big cool thing happening inside that group starting next week, so you'll want to pay attention to that. And then if you have any questions about this, that Facebook group is the best place to ask them. All right, I will talk to you guys later. Have a great day.